passionate about Cleveland sports.
He's going in! Touchdown!
Browns, Indians, Cavs, the Big Ten, and more.
Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond.
A swing and a drive! To deep right!
Here are your hosts, Andy Billman and Jarid Watson.
And we are live on Facebook and Twitter. Hello and welcome, Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jarid Watson, and this podcast is brought to you by Waiting for Next Year. Check them out, original Cleveland sports reporting at waitingfornextyear.com. Well, it's been a while. Good to be back and doing a podcast. I know I've missed it. I know Andy's missed it, and I'm guessing some of you have missed hearing from us. We've got a lot to talk about, especially because some breaking news that kicked off, today. Myles Garrett is back. This is Wednesday at time of recording. Myles Garrett reinstated by the NFL. Andrew Berry did his official introduction press conference last week. And also, Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield did a podcast interview. This was his third time on the show with Pardon My Take. That's the Barstool folks do that one. He did that show. Crude humor. Some people got a little pissed about it. I think it's hilarious. Let's talk about that as we get rolling. Also, the Cavs have been struggling and buzzing. Andre Drummond, in a shocking trade, is now a part of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and in his first game with the Cavs, they were blown out at home. Their worst home loss in history, lost by 41 points. Colin Sexton, though, has been added to the NBA Rising Stars game. The Tribe kicks off spring training with pitchers and catchers reporting just the other day, and we're also going to talk about the fact, we should bring this up too. Jason Kipnis is officially no longer with the Indians. I think he took a minor league deal with the Cubs with incentives. We'll talk about that. But the Indians are rumored to be signing Domingo Santana coming to Cleveland. We'll see how that works out. But first, actually, before we jump into the Ivy League-driven Cleveland Browns, I want to say, Andy, that my own personal breaking news I think is worth bringing up because it affects the show. And I talked to Andy about this already, so I will let you, the audience, know now as well. I am leaving Maryland. I'm leaving Ratbird City. Since some of you should know, I live between Baltimore and D.C. I'm leaving this area and moving back to the Youngstown area in a couple of months. By June, should be in Youngstown, and that will make things better for this podcast. It will get us more access, I believe, to that market and to people who work in that market. It'll just make things a lot more accessible, going to games, including other things with this show. And also, the biggest part of it is I'm not going to be working anymore when I go back there. So a lot more time dedicated to this podcast. I wanted to let you all know because I honestly am super excited about it. It's been 15 years since I've lived back home. And I know my friends and family are stoked. I know my family here is ready to go. My wife has never had a home like this, and she loves it there for some odd reason. Yes, my wife, who was a military brat, loves the Youngstown area. That's great. Let that sink in, though.
That makes sense. Ohio's great. Ohio 2 is trending. Ohio 2 is trending for a reason.
This is something. Well, if you think about it, Andy, we really shouldn't be so hard on ourselves back there in Youngstown, correct, in that area, in Northeast Ohio. I don't think and you know what? Let's roll into it. I don't think we give ourselves enough credit. We are between Cleveland and Pittsburgh, New York and Chicago, on a major waterway, and with the Mahoning River. We have one of the largest collections of American art in the world at the Butler. We've got a symphony. We've got all this. There's so much opportunity. Well, the second largest metro park, I believe, in the world, with Mill Creek Park in the country, rather. It's all worth being proud of. And I always have been between the 330, the 440, and the 216. I'm excited to go back to that area. There.
I'm excited.
That being said, go ahead, Andy.
I'm excited for you, and this is a big day, and I'm very excited for Jarid Watson. And for those of you who thought he was teeing off saying I'm leaving the podcast, I thought that too at first. I'm now feeling better that you're not leaving the podcast.
I thought I was leaving the podcast.
No. The way you let off was funny. You go, I am now leaving. And I go, oh my God, he's leaving the fucking podcast.
Oh, right here live? I would not do that to you.
No, I know. Inside humor joke. But no, I'm happy for you, Jarid. And I think it's going to be great that you go back to that area. And that is a very underrated area. and it's Mahoning. What is their names? The Mahoning Lakers,
Scrappers? The Mahoning Valley Scrappers. The short season single
they
A
scored a certain
team?
amount of runs. Back in the day, you used to get free Buddy W3 wings. I don't know if that's still the case, but
well, I will talk to actually the guy who owns that franchise of those stores, those Buffalo Wild Wings that gave those out in Niles. I used to work for those folks, so
that's cool.
I'll find out about those wings, Andy.
That's great.
Doug.
Well,
yeah, Doug Essenwine over at, well, I know him from Boardman, Ohio, but he runs basically all of those stores now.
Yeah, so it's cool stuff, and happy for Jared. And for those of you who are worried, no, I'm staying in Connecticut. I want to make sure to pay all my taxes and pay every nickel and dime. I like this state, but boy, is it expensive. So I'm going to make sure to keep the taxes going and make everything free flowing. Speaking about things coming back and forth, Myles Garrett, as Jared alluded to, came back.
Cleveland Browns.
I think this is a quick hitter. There's really nothing to break down. I think this is good for the Browns for obvious reasons. This is not hard. They needed to get some things off their plate. They have a lot to do. To get this off the plate right now makes a lot of things easier for the Browns, because this was going to become one of those things that if it continued on, it was going to bury and bury and bury. And at some point, someone's going to have to make a trip to New York to ask, hey, what is the real status of this? So to get this off the plate goes a long way. The part two to this, I've seen some people debate. I still don't have a different feeling about this. That was the appropriate suspension for Myles. I love Myles. I love the Browns. That was the appropriate suspension. He needed to be suspended for the year. That's what happened here.
Yeah.
It stuck. It cost the Browns a lot of wins. Yep. There's no doubt. It probably cost the Browns a win and a half to 2 wins. But all that to be said, you can't do that. And I still feel that way. And I can't stand the Steelers more than anybody, but you can't do that.
Well,
I thought that was appropriate suspension. I was surprised to hear that feedback from some Browns fans. I still don't waver on this suspension. That was the right thing.
I'm not okay. So here's what I want to talk about. This, I guess maybe it was noon, 12:30. Whoever's doing Sports Center around the noon hour, the lunch hour. I was told by a buddy who caught it and said there were a lot of people that were complaining, or whoever was doing the show, whoever was on, whoever's whatever piping off at that moment, was complaining and saying that Myles should have had more than that length of suspension. It should have been longer. My opinion is of the same that I believe Tony Grossi has said, which is if this was a 1:00 game buried on a Sunday, he wouldn't have even been suspended for the length that he was possibly.
I don't agree. I know that's, and I understand that sentiment. I don't think it would have been as much buzz. This was really bad. I don't agree with that. I think this would have been suspended for the same amount. I don't think it would have gotten as much buzz or as much discussion, but it would have been just as bad as suspension. It was bad.
I will say this. I know it was bad. I'm not saying he shouldn't have been suspended that long.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know that the league would have been as tough because Lord knows the league cares about the league, cares about the league, cares about the league. And I believe that even calling it an indefinite suspension was a way of them saying, look, we know we're going to reinstate you as soon as the season's over, but we want to make it look like we are being a little bit more thoughtful than that. If that makes sense, at least to me, I feel like they're trying more than they actually were. I, of course, if you're watching the live show on Facebook and Twitter, I'm in celebration of Myles being back wearing my Pittsburgh Started It shirt, courtesy of GV
Great
Art.
shirt.
I am not.
By the way, G-Mart made this hat.
I'm not Coach Kitchen,
yeah.
so I can wear the shirt whenever the fuck I want. And,
yes.
And that's fine.
Yes. Yes. Again, the life learning lesson is when you're head coach of the Browns, you can't wear those T-shirts.
Right. I will probably sport it, though.
Yes.
I don't necessarily. There's a comment already. I don't know how much we want to even address it. This one's off the chain, but yes, we are aware of the rumors and the speculation and the things that were going down via social media for some stuff with Baker Mayfield. We are not going to really discuss much of that today because, well, this is a family show, Andy.
Well, ready? Actually, I would discuss it if there was a lot more, of substance to it. This is all hearsay.
It is all hearsay.
Yeah,
these comments were deleted on Twitter. This is someone who clearly, let's put it this way. I hope that this person finds peace in their life. And we will leave it at that. I hope this person finds peace in their life and finds whatever they're looking for the betterment of themselves.
Look, she got a lot of publicity. She got onto I don't know what you call it, a podcast that had a lot of push. So she's already been put herself out there. I mean, people can go read the story. They can believe what they want to believe. Okay, I'll talk about it. Look, here's the story. It's hard to decipher what really happened here. It's hard to decipher here from all these comments because it's his word against her word.
But his word is he blocked her way before this even happened. And I guess at this point, if we are going to talk about it, Dan Monis on Facebook is asking, he's basically saying, talk about it. Okay. And that's why Andy said, okay, we will. So this is Clevenger's ex is who we're talking about. Correct?
Yeah, that is true. And they are not together anymore.
Right. She is claiming some things about Baker Mayfield and things that went down in the Akron area between those two. And from the looks of it, Baker had already blocked her. And the word is that he blocked her prior on Twitter. And Baker and his wife have both been a little bit more active on social media without addressing this in a way to kind of show the solidarity that, hey, I don't know what this is going on, but we're not having anything to do with it. We're going to talk about hanging out and drinking a Mick Ultra and hanging out with our dog.
And wearing Barstool material. Look, you can read into this a million different ways. If you look at it, it really does look like Baker's spinning. And and by the way, he might be spinning the truth. He might be spinning falsehoods to try to get off the story. Maybe he didn't. The weird thing about this story is twofold. One, she claims something of a story, and when it gets blocked like that, it makes you wonder. She also has a picture of him on Snapchat, but it's just a picture.
It's just
so who knows
picture.
What the hell? So who knows what the fuck that means? For everything I can read into it, I think probably some interaction happened for sure. What that means and what really happened in real life, I've been down these roads so many times on stories like this, and I've had to investigate stories like this. It is so much hearsay, it's hard to fucking tell. And I can already tell from some of the comments and some of the back and forth that's going on, it's him against his word, her word. You know what? It's hard to tell. All I'll say is this, though. I'll make this note. She is driving this story, and for a person who we don't really know her name, and we just know of her on these as Clevenger's ex, she is driving a story here enough towards getting buzz on the social media side.
She did it when everything went down with Clevenger. And it was awful, and I felt terrible. Not because I felt terrible because I know that there's children involved. And at this point, there's still children involved. And I don't know why.
By the way, that's a much... Clevenger and her, again, it's another hearsay. Again, here's the one thing I will tell everyone. Yeah. We're not Baker Mayfield, and we're not that woman. So we don't know.
And we're not covering for or being apologetic for.
I just have learned in these stories, there is so many webs and there's so many misconceptions, and there are things that can be misread. The only thing that's very, what she made a point of is like, look, she basically said that she went down on Baker, and people can make that what it is. Right. When you make that kind of accusation, and it definitely will raise your eyebrows.
It's gonna get attention. It's going to. It got her an extra 2,000 followers on Twitter in the last 48 hours.
She's creating buzz. Here's the other thing that's interesting too.
If that's how you want to do it, if that's the way you want the attention, I mean, because we have to also acknowledge, Andy, she deleted all of those tweets almost immediately. They didn't stay up there. She deleted all of that. So what is your purpose? What are you doing? And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying things didn't happen. I'm saying, what are you trying to do? I want you to find peace in your life. That's what I want. And I say that genuinely. I'm not saying that in a backhanded way.
Again, when I did a story like this a couple years ago, was it 4 or 5 years ago now? These stories get very tricky because there's no visual evidence, there's no proof, and there's no people that can confirm and deny. And on top of it, you can look at Baker's actions as normalized to turn a story to get attention off a story that's false, or to turn attention away from a story that has some truth to it. You can spin it any way you want. It's impossible. It's an impossible spot. And if Baker says nothing, he's there too. Where people are like, well, he's not saying anything, so he must be guilty or whatever else. So you're in an impossible spot if you're Baker Mayfield, one way or the other. And you know what? I mean, that's the way I leave it. I will say this, though, again, the one thing that I've been impressed, if this is what you mentioned, if this is her goal, she has gotten buzz and she's gotten attention.
Congratulations.
And that's what you wanted. She definitely got it. Now, she has not broken the layer of social media. She has not made the media. She's only making the social media rounds. And by the way, I don't think she's going to get any more above that. But she's definitely created a lot of buzz from it.
Yeah,
I think we covered that.
Andy, we usually try to avoid this stuff. We don't. I get it. It's people would look at us and say, "Why are you avoiding it?" It's great material for a show and a podcast. I get it, but all it is to me is worthless clickbait bullshit. It's harmful and hurtful. It makes me feel bad for the parties involved. It feels icky, and I guess maybe it just has to do with the fact that I'm kind of a grown ass man at this point with my own family, and so that's really not the road we want to go down. But I think at this point we at least had to touch on it. People were asking, so there we go. That's where we're at. That's where that is.
There's your 10 minutes. And for people who want to see more, she did a podcast on a YouTube channel.
I don't want to feed it. That's all. I don't want to feed it. I got other things I want to feed.
I would actually say this. I don't think anymore it's feeding it. It's acknowledging it, and people got to make their own decisions from there.
Cool.
And that's that. And by the way, for people who don't live outside these circles, this happens a lot in sports and entertainment all the time.
Oh, yeah. Come on now.
So Baker is not unique in any way, shape, or form. Okay. Myles
Garrett. 12
Garrett,
years in the military. You think it doesn't happen there often too? Come on.
Yeah, happens all the time. Okay, Garrett. We touched on that. I think we're good. There's really not a lot to say about the Garrett outside that. It's a good day for the Browns.
Yeah, the team's fired up. Comments on social media from some players. I know that Jarvis is fired up. Matt Wilson was fired up. Everyone's ready. Jurassic Myles on his way back, and that we know the guy's been kicking ass in the gym and getting ready. So there you go.
Yeah, and by the way, he's taking my tips, and I just want to, he can thank me later for his apps. So now,
more space balls on the way.
I love EJ.
We ain't found shit. So, thanks, EJ. Already.
By the way, well played here with the Baker Mayfield story.
Yep, we don't know.
Andrew Berry. I have stayed on this podcast, and I meant it at the time that I was like, I'm not for these moves. I'm not saying I'm down, and I'm not going to be cheering for the team, but I just don't know if they're going to work because of the 131. Because of what we saw before, and just because I don't know if this was the best move for the I just don't think it is. I would have kept Dorsey, brought in a new coach, yada, 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 and everything else.
Yep.
Okay, Stefanski came in. I really enjoyed his press conference and everything else. I started feeling a little better. Baker Mayfield on Get Up made me feel even more better. I got to be honest with you. I was shocked. I enjoyed Andrew Berry's press conference a lot. It's, in my book, it was hard leaving that press conference feeling down about the Browns. So for the first time in a long time, I thought he was very likable. He came off smart. He's a strong foundation man with a soft landing. What I mean by that is he's very strong with what he believes in, but he doesn't come off as brutally he comes off as very gentle. He's easy to like. Both Stefanski and Andrew Berry are easy to like.
Cool.
He made two things very clear, which I love. Everything about him is about winning. And the second thing, he makes sure to point this out twice. I'm going to do what's best for the Browns. I want to do what's best for the field. Folks, it makes you feel good when you hear that stuff. I thought that was a wonderful scouting. Now, here's the one worry that I have. And this is the only
I'm
worry.
going to tell you mine as soon as you tell me.
Yeah. My only worry about it that I do not like, I love the word collaborative. What I don't like is when he said something later in the press conference, he goes, I think final authority isn't as important. I think that is where I get worried because in this organization, you're going to need to have a hammer at some point.
That leans towards what I'm going to say about my worry. Andy, who owns the Cleveland Browns?
Jimmy Haslam.
There you go. There you go. There you go. That's your problem.
Ready for this?
We could have, well, before, let me just, as an example, I've worked in places where people have had big ideas, right? And they're great ideas and they're built on in their own mind, a solid path forward, right?
Yep.
But the problem is they neglect to address the issues that are the foundation to make sure that that is done correctly first before they try to do and implement those things for the direction of where they want to go with whatever that thing is. There's a habit of looking forward without looking at the present at the situation and fixing that first. And I worry because obviously they can't fix this problem first. They can't fix Jimmy Haslam.
Well,
So
I actually don't
maybe
think-
that goes to the whole thing with, whoever, that quote that you just said about Barry that worries you. That to me sounds like not wanting to step on Jimmy's toes.
Well, actually, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think Jimmy's not the problem.
Okay.
I really don't. I don't have any problem with Jimmy Haslam.
At
And
this
I'm going to be the
moment in
one guy.
time.
I'm actually starting to turn the favor on this. I don't think Jimmy's the problem.
Not me.
Now, here's where I get concerned. Because I think Jimmy and D are going to take a big step back. In fact, they've already kind of said that. This is Paul D. Podesta's team. And the one thing that I've seen, this is Paul D. Podesta leading the Cleveland Browns. This is the Paul D. Podesta Browns.
Okay.
And having him lead the ship is Andrew Berry with a co-captain of Stefanski. This is the D. Podesta's. I actually think the Haslams are taking a way step back. So my guy is D. Podesta. I think he has a lot to prove. So when I hear these comments, I'm not just hearing Andrew Berry. I'm hearing Paul D. Podesta. When I'm hearing these comments from Stefanski, I'm hearing Paul D. Podesta. When I hear the word collaborative, they should say with Paul D. Podesta. When I hear the words of like final authority, I think the final authority is probably Paul D. Podesta.
Well, I think that's via Jimmy, and I don't know that that's going to be the best way forward. I will say this is a continued step back because we saw it. We saw it with John Dorsey. We saw Jimmy taking a step back. But look, man, I just can't trust anything. That's all. I'll just put it that way. I don't trust anything.
I'm actually starting to get away from. I actually don't think the Haslams are going to be. The Haslams have put together their pieces that they believe in, and most importantly, their centerpiece is Paul D. Podesta. This is D. Podesta's party. This is his ship. This is his collaborative thinking. This is all him. He's going to be, and by the way, now I've made my concerns.
Is Jimmy going to let it play out if it isn't working?
You know what? That's a different question.
And that's
now
the issue.
Here's what I'm ready for this guess. I think the Haslams are going to buckle up and they're going to let this thing sink or swim for 3 to 5 years. The way this has been built and the way this is going, this is it. I don't think there's going to, I think the change in the Browns, can't believe I'm saying this. I don't think it's going to be quick this time if it doesn't work.
D. Podesta going to be in Berea?
Now, ready for you and I to go be on the same parallel path? It drives me crazy. Did we feel his presence at all during these press conferences? Nope. Do we feel his presence anymore after the week or two ago when we talked about him? Nope. I want to hear and feel more of Paul D. Podesta. When things don't go right, it's just as much as D. Podesta as it is these two guys. This is the Paul D. Podesta Cleveland Browns. I want a Paul D. Podesta t-shirt. We should, I mean, this is his team. This is his theory. Yeah, I think so too. Dan Mongus on Facebook. I agree. At least 3 years. I think this is the D. Podesta plan. We're all signed up for it. We should all watch Moneyball as a homework assignment. We should get ready.
It's been a long time since I saw that movie.
We should learn the Harvard fight song. We should learn what favorite places in Harvard you go to eat. And where do you go and pin? To go to certain places, but that's where Stefanski went. But that's where it's all going now. I want to get back to Barry. I did like Barry. I liked his confidence. I like how... And the other big thing that I learned about this press conference from Barry that I liked, Stefanski and Barry knew each other way before this whole process started.
Yeah.
There's a great article in the Beacon Journal that was written by Nate Ulrich, and he did a nice job of pointing out, people should read it. It came out, I think, 2 days ago, that Stefanski and Barry became acquaintances about 10 years ago when they were with the Vikings and Coach Leslie Frazier introduced them, and they've been tight ever since. So, when we read it, Stefanski said some things after the press conference, and he obviously made a play saying, look, I like Peyton, and I wanted George Payton to possibly be the guy, but that doesn't mean I didn't like Andrew Berry. So the one thing that I also liked about this whole press conference thing that I learned, Stefanski and Barry, they may not have... I think Stefanski had two guys he really liked, George Payton and Barry. And I think he may have leaned towards Peyton, sure, but that doesn't mean he doesn't work well with Andrew Berry. I think I heard those rumors. I think those rumors are so false, Jared, now after this. I think these guys are more linked to the hip than we think. And I do think that's a good thing. I really do think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, and again, we can drink the Kool-Aid of hope, but I'll drink the Kool-Aid of hope. I'm going to drink the Kool-Aid of hope today.
Okay.
I do see linkage between DePodesta, Stefanski, and Berry very tight. And I got to be honest, that is good. It doesn't mean it means wins, but it's good to see. The other big thing that I liked about Berry a lot is how he kept pointing out throughout the press conference how important scouting is and how important it is that scouting is going to be a big foundation of this organization. That was great to hear. And by the way, great job by the local press asking questions. They pounded him with 1-31 stuff. And they needed to. They needed to hit him hard. They needed to ask him, like, hey, like, what the hell happened here? That was on your watch. And I thought he did a very nice job of getting in and out of those questions.
Right.
I thought he did a very nice job of making sure to point out that, hey, everything didn't work out. Everything wasn't perfect, but I take that. He did a nice job of embracing it and saying that is a part of him, but also understanding that was he said the key word. That was an era of assets. We are not in the acquisition of assets anymore. We are here to win games. And he made that very clear. And I thought that is not easy to handle. And I thought, Jared, he did a nice job of splitting away from that stigma of 131. The stigma's still there, but at least he did a nice job of separating about what happened with him in that situation. About as best as you can do. That's a tough spot. That's a really, really tough spot for a guy in his first press conference.
I don't know what you can take away from Jimmy's thoughts on all this, though. He obviously sounds like a guy who's been run through the ringer.
Yes, he has.
Right?
Yes, he has.
And,
Yes,
I've got some confidence that we've got the right guys in the right place.
Yeah, I mean, he does.
We've heard that before, and
his quote was the way this group will work together, it'll be distinctly different than before. End quote. We'll see what happens. I mean, again, I think, and I thought this way with Dorsey. I did not know how this was going to break out either, but I now have this vibe. I think Haslam, Jimmy, and D are about ready to wave, hey, your ship.
They're probably exhausted and want nothing to do with it anymore.
Well, that too.
That could be a part of it.
So
hey,
I think
fine
the
by
days
me.
of,
Fine by me. Sign the checks and get out of the way.
Right, exactly. I actually think G and Jimmy have done a nice job. I've done a really good job saying, you know what? We're not in this. You guys handle it. We believe in you guys. Here's the parts. Now, if you want to get on not believing in DePodesta, I'm ears of that. I think that is the thing that does make me very nervous. I think Paul DePodesta has a lot of he does not get talked about enough. He has a lot of pressure. I think he has more pressure to win than Stefanski and Berry do going into 2020.
Is Kareem Hunt still on this Browns team through the season? And if he is, look, is this going to be Josh Gordon-esque?
I think that Jimmy Haslam, I give Jimmy Haslam credit. I thought his quotes were very direct. If for people didn't hear it, quote, "It is not good. Kareem knows how he has got to be better. Kevin and Andrew have talked to him about it, and I will just leave it at that. What he did was not acceptable. He has to do better," end quote. I thought Jimmy was great. I thought that was a great quote. He made it pretty straightforward. Here's another one. This is an internal matter. We have and will continue to work closely with Kareem, but he knows our expectations are higher than what he showed a week or two ago, end quote.
Yeah.
Well, last one. If Kareem can lay out and follow the expectations that we have laid out for him, end quote, we are confirming that we want him to return to the team. What do I read in those quotes? Less than 5% chance of him being in Cleveland. I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah. Damn, what a bummer. My thing is, obviously, because the tape revealed that he admitted that he wouldn't pass a drug test at the time, the NFL is going to use that against him. He's clearly, I don't know what stage on what protocol he's on with the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that, here's the thing about Kareem Hunt. Again, for people who didn't listen to the podcast last year, I was not in favor of him being on the Browns. I didn't like that.
Right.
I didn't like it, okay? Now, as he was on the Browns and as he started playing for the Browns, I got to admit, I enjoyed Kareem Hunt being on the team, and I actually thought he turned a page.
I still don't dislike the guy.
No, I don't dislike.
I feel
by
bad.
the way, I'm with you. I'm rooting for Kareem Hunt, but his actions that night and what I saw on the tape were not good. Though they were terrible that night at the nine. Terrible. And it was not a good day for him with the police officer.
That's where
I understand Jimmy's comments. I really do. I don't think Kareem Hunt's going to be back. I don't.
And you know what? I would tell Browns fans too. I wouldn't worry too much about that.
I think Kareem Hunt.
I think the Browns' backfield is going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that having a fullback was a huge statement. Signing a fullback by the Browns, it's such a statement of look, we're committed to the run and doing it correctly and not trying to piss around the fact that our interior, that offensive line, if we weren't spread out, if we weren't doing some misdirection, if we weren't, that the run wasn't successful in a lot of areas, and they recognized they need a fullback back there.
Yeah,
at times.
Yep.
And I felt that was such a statement move by the Browns to sign a
Oh
fullback.
my gosh,
so,
yes. I am more upset that Duke Johnson's not playing next year.
Well, I'm not, because I got to think and we got to look at the draft and we got to see what they do. There's no reason to think
Duke's gone now. Man, you got to move forward. They're going to have to draft a running back.
Right.
Unless now,
but they don't have to draft a quarter or a running back until what? Third round? Fourth round?
Fourth, fifth, whatever.
Yeah.
And they can pick, and by the way, I hate to say it, in the NFL, you can pick up a good running back and put him. They are more interchangeable than what they were when you and I were growing up in the 80s and 90s.
They are.
Now here's, because you have a main back and Chubb, you just do. Now, here's the other thing. I would not be against, though, if the Browns do decide to bring Kareem Hunt back. I will say, though, I think he is finally on thin ice. If you have one more of these incidents, I think he does.
Andy, here's the thing. If he's getting suspended by the NFL because of this last incident, and he's not on the field, and he's not on the field week 1, then
I think he needs to go.
Then we have no reason to have him here.
I agree.
We already sacrificed half the season last year to even give this a chance. We sacrificed how many fucking seasons with Josh Gordon, who couldn't get his shit straight. Again, love the guy as a person and really wish the best for him, but doesn't do us any good. Doesn't do us any good. So if Kareem's going to be suspended and Kareem's not going to be on the field week 1, if Kareem's going to miss the entire preseason and not be prepared to be on the field week 1, I don't have any time for it. I just don't anymore. Don't have time for it.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think if there's any hint of suspension, I think the Browns need to move on.
It pains me to say it, but yeah.
Oh no! I mean, look again. In life, sometimes you have a position or a place where you have different circumstances around you. Whether you're a new employee, whether your employee's had some trouble, or whether you're an employee with whatever kind of stipulations. Kareem Hunt had stipulations and had some issues that came up, so he was in a special, unique unit.
Yeah.
And when you do that and when you have an incident like that, Jared, you and I know, if this would have been in a real job, Kareem Hunt would have been fired.
Yeah. You still got a business to run.
And that's the point here.
Hey, call me if you need anything. I'll do all I can to help you in certain situations or whatever. But at the same time, you're not helping the direction of this company, of this business. Yep. So we've got to go on our separate ways. Yeah,
the Kareem Hunt would have been fired. And in any other walk of life, job of life.
Yeah, I don't need it. I don't need a Josh Gordon repeat. Nope, don't need it. Don't need it.
OBJ comments. Everybody commented on this. So let's get to Jimmy first. On whether OBJ's first season with the Browns and he believes Beckham will be part of the team moving forward. A quote, absolutely, Jimmy Haslam said. Odell is extremely talented. He has been hampered by the growing energy, and listen, he could have done some things better, and we could have done some things better, end quote. That was a great quote. Again, I thought Jimmy actually had a really good day with Andrew Bear. I thought his quotes were actually really good. Stefanski on OBJ. My meeting went well with him. Not to get into too many specifics, but we talked about a lot of topics, and then commitment is shown over time. I have full confidence in Odell. I've spoken to him a couple times, and I've met with him face to face, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know him more. Yeah. And he said some other things, but that is it.
And Odell said good things about Stefanski.
I'm actually, when we did this podcast a month ago, I would have flip flopped on Hunt and OBJ. I'm now flip flopped. I don't think Hunt's going to be around. I think OBJ is going to be be a Brown next.
I think OBJ is excited about what he's seeing going on right now, and I will
I do
tell
too.
you that is the first thing. That is the first time
I do too.
that
I do
I
too.
felt a warm and fuzzy.
I do too. I think OBJ is in really good shape. And by the way, you and I have said this. I want to hammer it home. I like that OBJ is coming back. The Browns are so thin at wide receiver. If you were to cut this man, holy shit, or trade him.
On
Oh my
top
God.
of that, the fact is Odell is probably hypersensitive to toxic environments. So at this point, if this shit was awful, we would, if he didn't have any belief in it, we'd know it right off the bat. And the fact that he's got some belief in it has me, at least to this point, feeling slightly confident for the first time. And
I
maybe
agree.
I'm crazy for relying on Odell as being my litmus test for the direction of how this new staff is going to work out. But you know what? I think his attitude is a good barometer.
No, I do too. So that was Andrew Berry, and again, I was not expecting to say comments like that, but I came away feeling really, really good after Andrew Berry. Now I still have my doubts. And again, I can't state this more, and I'm gonna hammer this. This is the Paul D. Podesta Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
This is his vision. This is his plan. So when things don't go well, I'm also looking at not Stefanski or Andrew Berry or Six or OBJ or whoever else on the field. I'm going to be looking at D. Podesta. D. Podesta is doing a lot here to put the pieces in place for either failure or success. Now, I think we've hammered home Andrew Berry enough. And again, I thought it was a good week. I think it's a good way for the Browns to start the offseason, especially Myles Garrett. Now, a lot of buzz was made during the end of the Super Bowl going into last week when we were off about Baker Mayfield on Pardon My Take. I thought you really said it well to lead off the show, so I'm not going to hit it too much harder than that. I think people need to realize sometimes when you're on certain platforms, certain shows, tongue-in-cheek humor is going to come into play, and that was certainly on that podcast.
Yes.
I mean, look, you're on a Barstool podcast called Pardon My Take. You know there's going to be tongue-in-cheek humor.
Oh, and by the way, if you want to be vulgar and say ignorant things about Colin Cowherd, go right for it anytime you feel like it. Start your show with it. Yeah, that's good by me. From
Again,
behind.
I think that look, I would just say to any Browns fan who took umbrage or got mad, these podcasts, and when you go into certain things, you're going to have some tongue-in-cheek humor. Don't read too much into this. Don't get too upset. People read way too many things or listen to way too many things. Back in the 80s and 90s when you and I were growing up, there was not as much of this. So it's weird. We didn't really know the athletes or the coaches or the behind the scenes. We know so much more now. That's so much more filtered.
We see behind the wind. Yeah, we see behind the curtain a lot more than we ever have.
The curtain and inside the vacuum to see what crumbs they vacuumed up. So, I mean, it's really, really easy to get into this.
Well,
I learned this. I'll say this again. I learned this with LeBron. Don't read too much into tweets or podcast comments. Telling you, leave that stuff alone. Yeah. I just think people get way too tied up into it.
And Andy,
I really do.
The show that he went on is not, and this isn't a knock, this is a stylish show, is a show where these guys want to hear themselves. They're not there for the interview. They're there to make jokes. They're there to be funny. They're not there to ask these in-depth questions. And at the same time, they were doing some really good things when it started in 2018 in Baker's rookie season. Like I said, they're selling T-shirts and giving the proceeds to Cleveland's chapter of the Special Olympics for Kids, I believe. All the money was going to kids. So get over it. Get over it. Let them go. Let them have fun. I'm tired of this. You hear and see the comments, of get off the television, Baker, and be on the field and get ready and work. Like, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. You think that the guy's not going to be ready day one? Get out of here. Get out of here. He's not Johnny Manziel. Relax. I don't know.
There's been a lot of Johnny Manziel talk about Baker.
Oh, that shit needs to stop. I'm sorry. Even in the worst times from what we went through last season, not the fucking same thing. Not even close. Not close.
Johnny Manziel was battling a lot.
Demons. Still is.
All I'm
Baker's
say
just a
is,
kid who's got to grow up, and I think that he's doing it right in front of us.
Baker in the last 8 games of 18 was wonderful. 19 stunk. 19 stunk.
That's fine.
But his last 8 games in 18, he was really good. So
he'll be all right.
You got to remember to keep that in fact. All right, so my last comment about the Browns, unless you got anything else, the one thing I am still amazed by this organization, the buzz train keeps buzzing along. Even in the offseason, the Browns make noise. It's fucking believable.
Yeah.
This team makes
We don't
noise.
get a break, man.
It is just a whirlwind. It is unbelievable.
I
am still amazed every day by this team. All right, well, they just won. Finally, they won a home game going to the All-Star break. Let's talk about our Cleveland Cavaliers.
Cleveland Cavaliers.
I was really ecstatic about this trade when we got Andre Drummond. This, again, is easy pickings. Cameron Billman, anybody from across the street could have told you. I told my son about the trade. He goes, who do we give up? I'm like, Brandon Knight, John Henson, and a 2023 second-round pick. He goes, basically nothing. I'm like, basically nothing to get Andre Drummond. This trade made a lot of sense. The Pistons wanted
my
to.
phone. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
That's okay. It is a very exciting trade. So I almost threw my phone when I heard about the trade.
We were both fired up about it.
We were both fired up.
Especially because when we saw what they did to get it. So,
oh my God, such a joke. What a great trade. Look, this was easy to decipher. The Pistons didn't want to pay Andre Drummond, and the Cavs love picking up contracts like this. So it made perfect sense. And the Cavs need a center. I've been saying that for so long. Example A tonight, which I'm going to get to. So I love this trade. If you don't like this trade, I don't think you're going to enjoy the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because I just don't see how you can't love this trade.
Right.
The Cavs needed a center. You can now naturally have Tristan Thompson come off the bench to help. This does not mean playoff run. This does not mean anything for this year. But the Cavs will actually be more watchable. I'm telling you. I would be shocked if they're not.
Well, they had no size.
None. 0. You could drive a truck through the lane against the Cavs because they had no one inside to stop them.
Yeah.
No one. The game that was so eye-opening, I mean, there's several. The Thunder game and the Knicks. When the Knicks aren't good. And when the Knicks played the Cavs last couple of times, it was just like, I live here locally in the New York, Connecticut area. Knicks aren't very good. And we are getting fucking trashed by the Knicks.
Oh,
Why?
it was
because
just
they're
it was
big
not the Knicks,
and they're strong,
the
and they just keep
Bulls,
going
there
up
were
through the hole. It's like their front court against our front court. God bless Tristan Thompson, he's trying. God bless Kevin Love, he's trying. But people just kept doing whatever they want. And then any time a guard would get by one of our guards who can't guard right now, it would just be an open season. Either someone comes up and it's an alley-oop, or it's an open dunk. Either way, so Andre Drummond is a great thing.
Yeah, you need some reason, something in the paint, something.
So it's a great trade. If anybody wants to go on the opposite side of this, again, I would suggest not watching the Cavs because I don't understand why you'd hate this trade. The other big thing is Colin Sexton being added to the Future Stars game. Guard Sexton was added to replace Tyler Herro on the U.S. team in the Rising Stars game. So Sexton, and now I'm going to get to my rant of the show. There has been a lot of shit being railed on 2 people in 2.5. Sexton, Beeline, and Garland. I want to get to Sexton first. Sexton has not played up to a number 8 pick. I would actually argue probably yes. Does that mean Colin Sexton is a shitty player? No, I don't think that. Does that mean Colin Sexton isn't going to be a good pro? No, I don't think that.
Right.
Does that mean Colin Sexton may not be an A-list basketball player? That might be true, yes. Probably is true. He's not going to probably be an A-list player. That does not mean, no, he's a bad player. Right. I am really fucking tired. I defended Colin Sexton. You know what? People can rake me over the coals if he sucks 5 years from now. So I'm going down the ship of Colin Sexton. And this Future Stars edition proves some of my point. I'm not crazy. He's not that bad. He's a good player. Does he defend? No. Can he pass? Oh, it's shaky. But watch tonight's game. When you saw tonight's game, he can now go to the hole easier. He looks more fluent. You know why? They have a stable presence in the post. It makes all the difference in the world. Beeline. The Beeline slugs and thugs comment has tainted his tenure already in the Cavaliers and in Cleveland. It's tainted him. And I've heard from Brian Windhurst, who I love and respect and know him personally, from Jason Lloyd, from not Jason Lloyd, I'm sorry. There's another, what's his name? The other guy at The Athletic. Joe Varden.
Yes.
I've heard other people basically saying, I don't think Beeline's going to be around much. I can't see him making it through the year. I am on the opposite train of this. I'm going down the Beeline ship. I'm going to be looking like a fucking fool if this doesn't work out. I do still believe in Beeline. I do think Beeline can get this turned around. Has Beeline been a good coach so far? No. Has this looked good so far on the floor? I'm not crazy. No. Do I think Beeline's going to quit? I don't. I think Beeline's going to ride this out. I think Beeline is a good coach. This is not Freddie Kitchens. This is not something we've seen before with David Blatt. This is not something we've seen before. I'm telling you. This shit was so bad at times through the lane on defense, you couldn't fucking do anything with the Cavs. Let's give this a chance now.
Well, and that's my point, Andy.
Yeah.
What? Get rid of Beeline. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Now, look.
Who's coming here?
Right, now look.
Look, there's enough going on with this organization above Beeline. Just stop. Let's let
stop.
This look. If you made it through the 90s, through the late 90s, and then the rest of it until LeBron, you'll be okay, and the Cavs will be okay.
Yeah, and so here's my last point about all this, right? And I'll get to Darius Garland up until tonight. Darius Garland played really well tonight. Darius Garland up until had a rough start in February. He had the high turnover game against Golden State, and he looked really bad against the Clippers. I mean, I have no idea what happened to Darius Garland on Sunday. I don't know if he forgot to pack his shoes. I don't know if he just wasn't ready mentally to go. He played awful on Sunday. He did. He missed shots. He checked out. He didn't play well. So, but I still think Darius Garland can be a good player. I don't know about him yet. But my whole point, especially about Sexton, though, I made my point about Sexton, but Beeline. Now, if this continues with Andre Drummond here, I'm not naive. Beeline then needs to find a new job, and we need to find a new coach, whatever else. If these next 2.5 months go just as bad, and we see 41-point losses in late March, okay, I'm now starting to listen to some more. But we need to give this a chance with Drummond, and we need to see what really we can do in these last 2.5 months, not to make the playoffs, but just to see if this is possible and something that's workable at Beeline. And to see what Colin Sexton and Darius Garland can do with a center. Tristan Thompson's wonderful, but he's not a center like Andre Drummond is a center. He is a presence in the... You could tell tonight, and Brad Doherty did a wonderful job commentating on this, because I saw the same thing. Drummond makes you feel the middle for the first time. You saw people going, I'm not going through the little. You saw a lot more jump shots tonight from the Hawks. That's what you hope to see going forward. We'll have to see. But tonight was a good example of what I think could happen. They won tonight easily against the Hawks. And the Hawks aren't good. We know that. So let's see what happens. But that was a good start. I just think the Cavs have taken way too much shit. Some of it's very appropriate. And that 41-point performance was a fucking joke. That was really, really bad.
Well, I will let me bring up these 2 points then. And this isn't an excuse, but I will say this. Have you not noticed over like the last half a decade teams having more blowouts like this, more blowouts this big going on in the NBA?
Yeah.
I feel like it's just on the uptick overall.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm full of shit. I'm obviously not looking at the numbers right now, but just from my own 2 eyes and looking at scores and watching games, I feel like I have never in my life until the last 5 years seen blowout games as often as this, including in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Including after the first round in the playoffs.
Yeah, and
there are just nights where teams are they take off, and I don't know where it comes from. I don't know why. I don't know what it is.
Yep.
But the bottom line is, this is not a Cavs issue. This is an NBA issue.
I think
regarding
it's a great point.
Blowouts. The other thing, I don't remember my other point now, of course, because that's how my brain works. Fuck.
As you think about that,
if
other
I think
point,
of it, I'll bring it back up.
As you think about that other point, and Jared hit upon something too. The blowouts in the NBA happen a lot more. And the other thing too that I've seen more and more in the NBA is and this is my last point about the Cavs too. Everybody wants to find a scapegoat. And people kind of blame Sexton, kind of blame Garland. So the scapegoat has been Beeline. Beeline has taken all the heat. And Beeline's earned some of the heat. He has not done a good job so far.
Right.
It doesn't mean he can't turn us around, but he has not done a good job so far. But here's my bigger problem that I get frustrated by. And I'm not saying he's a bad GM. But why can't we put some of the blame on Altman before this? He didn't have a natural center. He didn't. I'm going to continue to say this. And maybe he'll play better Drummond. Dante X, I have not seen anything from X that makes me excited at all.
Still, I mean, look, that was the weirdest move.
I mean, it just doesn't make
weirdest move.
Jordan Clarkson was averaging 14 points a game, and we traded him for a second-round pick and Exum. By the way, he flipped one of those second-round picks and got Andre Drummond. So good for him.
Right,
kudos.
Great.
But I mean, still, like, and by the way, would I trade Drummond for Clarkson in a heartbeat? So this all works out if it looks good. But the thing is, on this, there have been some mistakes by Altman. And Altman
Clarkson
always seems
Drummond.
to get a pass. Always seems to get like, well, he didn't have it. No. There are things everyone could have done this team better.
Speaking of that, too, and going back to Kobe Altman, I still want to know, and I'm surprised, and I'm not saying this is necessarily was a bad thing, but I am surprised that there were no other moves.
I know.
I am surprised that nothing happened with Tristan. I am surprised that Kevin Love is still with the team.
I'm glad you brought this up, by the way.
To me, it was weird only because the mood in the locker room has been very, very off regarding those guys. And 1 minute you think they're all in, and the next minute you're like, wait a minute, they want the hell out of here?
Yep.
And I get it because you're playing with a 13-win team at the bottom of the East. It's got to be miserable with a coach who, might be driving you nuts because he's using college terminology and whatever it might be that's pissing you off. I am just surprised that Kobe didn't give. There's folks I think, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but there's people that are probably thinking, that Kevin would look really good with a contender right now, and the Cavs really could have got some pieces. I just don't know. I don't know what the goal is. I'm not seeing the vision that I thought I was seeing at the beginning of all this, at the beginning of the season. And I'm not.
I think Andre Drummond's going to help.
Help what, though?
Because with the vision.
What happens next year?
Well, no, wait. If Andre Drummond brings a presence to the lane and the Cavs play better, you can finally move better. You can finally move forward with some other things now because Delly's contract comes off the books. I know this is going to upset some people. I've seen enough of Chetty Osman. He's a nice player. I don't want to resign him.
I know.
I think time to move on from him.
I know.
There's some
like Hayden Grove would argue maybe.
Fine. I'm telling you, I've seen enough of Chetty Osman. He's not bad, but he's just not good. Like I'm tired of these half-ass players the Cavs have. So I just think in these kind of situations, you're going to have Delly's money coming off the books, right? You're probably going to have Tristan Thompson's money coming off the books. You're going to have some things to do. I would love to see the Cavs try to re-sign Tristan Thompson, but I don't think Tristan Thompson will ever come back to the Cavs, sadly, which will be sad because that's going to be the last piece of 16, along with Kevin Love still being on the team going. To your point, though, I do think, okay, let me finish up the thing. I think this team with Drummond has a chance to be with this. Ready? If you can start winning or being more competitive games with a center in place, you can prove that maybe Sexton is a rising star, which he was drafted on this team. Maybe Darius Garland is better, which I saw tonight on certain plays because of now presence in the post. Now, to Jared's other point, if the Cavs keep stinking up, and this doesn't look good with Andre Drummond or any better in the last 2 months, I am really in Jared Watson's court because now I don't understand what's going on. Because I'm telling you, the Cavs need a strong center presence. So they have that now.
Yeah.
I'm running out of excuses on excuse positive island if this doesn't work or it gets worse. If it gets worse, I am taking my little rowboat. I am fucking Tom Hanks and I am going to be talking to a volleyball because I was really wrong. Okay? I was really fucking wrong. But I'm still, I am fucking wrong. But okay, all that to be said, that's what I see here. I think this is going to work and be better. I think. We'll see. I'm not this naive, though. It has been bad for the Cavs. That 41-point loss was a fucking joke. Kawhi Leonard didn't play in that game. He didn't play. And they lost by 41 points. Okay? That was a fucking joke. I watched every fucking goddamn second of that game. It was a fucking joke.
I canceled my
Garland.
NBA League Pass a week and a half ago.
I've been defending Darius Garland. Darius Garland looked like he was like, you know what? I'm just not interested in playing today. I think I'm just gonna let Andre Drummond come in, come out. Boy, and by the way, someone got in his ear because he played really hard tonight. He played really hard tonight. And Sexton had extra pep in his step, too. No Kevin Love tonight, by the way, too, and the Cavs won easy. Says a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, does it say a lot? You're talking about the Hawks that are in the same, I mean, they're both at the bottom of the.
Again, I am on a very thin rail positive island tonight. I actually really like Andrew Berry, and I'm happy about the Cavs. I think this could work. But I'm not stupid. I might be the dunce cap by the end of this show. I don't know.
All right.
But I think Andre Drummond.
I'm indifferent, Andy, because I don't think there's any other, it's not like I'm looking out into the future saying, why aren't we doing this instead? There is no this on the horizon. There is no that. There is no other thing. There is no other way that I'm seeing on the horizon. There's nothing out there for us, Andy.
And by the way, we've been
this is the only way. This is it.
This is it. And by the way,
I don't know what's going to happen.
Right. We learned this last year. Tanking gets
we are
nothing
Tom Hanks
in the NBA.
on the wooden boat, floating off into the distance, hoping for the best.
Right. And by the way, tanking gets you nowhere. A, you don't know the player's going to come in, but B, in the NBA, they do that fucking lottery.
Yeah.
We all learned last year, you could have a decent or half-decent record and be the number one pick like the Pelicans. So don't fucking talk about tanking in the NBA.
Boy, that's Zion.
They have killed that. And by the way, that might be a good thing. They have killed that. All right. In the Cavs one, people can say insane comments about how I think this actually might work. I do. I still believe in I'm the only fucking guy. And I love Brian Windhurst. And he did a great interview on KNR a week and a half ago. And he's not crazy. I get it. I just think Beeline deserves a chance with Drummond. Let's see what happens these next 2 months. Yeah. Give it a chance. And to be fair to him and to other people, the Slugs and Thugs comment and play on the floor has dug a grave in some people's eyes with Beeline. So he has Jarid's done it to himself.
Yeah, I still don't. I can't get on that train with that.
I know. There's a lot of people on that train now.
I don't think even. Yeah,
I know.
I'm not always, and for anyone who knows me, I'm not Mr. Benefit of the Doubt guy when it comes to that type of stuff. But I think in this specific situation,
yeah,
I don't think that was no.
Well, it is what it is, and again, he said it. He apologized for it. The team moved on. By the way, team won the game the next day, so whatever. All right.
Right.
We have talked more about the Cavs than I ever thought we would. So Andre Drummond, by the way, big win for the Cavs. I think he's an exciting player. I think
we talk more about a 13-win team than we thought.
We will break.
But you know what? In all fairness, Andy, this is the most we've talked about the Cavs with this much passion in a while. I mean, we do give the Cavs their due, and both of us love that team.
I watch every game. I watch every fucking game. I do. I watch every game. And let me just say this too. And I do. Now I'll heed this warning. The month of February is it, because once the tournament starts, once spring training really gets ramped up, the Cavs are going to take a back seat. Because then the next thing you know it, opening day, NFL draft, the Cavs go bye-bye. This is it. They get 2 more weeks, and then they're going to go to the back pages pretty quick. This is it. You get 2 weeks. You get 2 or 3 weeks. Because once it starts really ramping up and the tournament starts getting ramped up, and by the way, Dayton's really good this year.
Yeah, I think I'm ready for the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be more focus on the tournament, and there always is. Doesn't even matter who's good in Ohio. There's going to be so much more focus on the tournament that, the Cavs are going to take a back seat. So this is really it. All right. Yep. Woo! If John Beelan's listening, I defended you, bro. I have defended you, bro.
Cleveland Indians.
Cleveland Indians time. It has not been officialized. I was going to say officialized. That's not even a fucking word.
Close enough.
It has not been official yet, but there's been a lot of rumors about Domingo Santana coming to the Indians. He's a young outfielder from the Seattle Mariners. Has good numbers. Last year he had 21 home runs and 69 and driving in 69 runs. So he has good numbers. He is a slugger. He's much younger than Puig, so he can get that kind of he can get that. He's an outfielder.
So those who thought Puig was gonna possibly get an offer, which was in Rumorville, there were some folks saying, "Hey, the Indians would be smart to sign him." It might not be happening now.
No, I don't think Puig's coming to the Indians. I think what the Indians are going to try to do is sign this guy Santana, and I think they're going to make a play in the middle of the season to make a big trade if they are in contention. Because they'll have money off the books to make a trade. Now we'll do that podcast a different day. I do think though, if they don't spend more money, outside of Santana, I think there's a big debate about the Corey Kluber trade, but let's get there. That's for a different show. For right now, Domingo Santana looks like he's going to be a part of the Indians. They need another outfielder. The only thing I want to remind people, we've heard so much about Daniel Johnson. And Mandy Bell hyped him up before the season last year. People need to remember there's a lot of hype around that kid. So if you got Reyes and you got Naquin and you obviously got Mercado and now you got this guy Santana, your outfield's pretty loaded. Doesn't mean it's got star power, but it's got. I don't know how much more room you got.
It's gonna be a finicky division too this year because it's not like the Twins have gotten worse, and we know the White Sox are actually trying to.
A lot of hype about the White Sox, and by the way, the White Sox always get a lot of hype. They always do. By the way, I'll take them under again this year too. Take them under.
This is still. I think, in a sense, might be better for the Indians. I think some of the pressure's off of them this season compared to last year, where the expectations were there and then the Twins just rolled. I think that works out in the Indians' favor this season.
So Jensen Lewis is on KNR. I thought Jensen Lewis made 2 good points. So you brought up something, and I heard him earlier today. So here's just 2 points about the White Sox and Twins that I think is so obvious with the Indians. He said if you want to match up bats and stuff, the Twins obviously had a huge year. And I know he's not a big name. Nelson Cruz does a lot for a lineup, and Nelson Cruz being out of the Twins was a big add. And I think that made a lot of difference in that lineup. I really do.
Yeah.
All that to be said, though, if you really take a look at pitching, the Indians have a huge advantage over the Twins in pitching. They do. I mean, they have a lot more plethora with starters, and with Clase A coming in and Karinchak coming in, their bullpen's been fortified a lot. And if Brad Hand can ever figure out the first half of the season and bring it to the whole year, you really have a good base in your relieving staff. So the Indians have that, and the White Sox have the same problem. The White Sox and Twins have a lot of questions with pitching. And so, to me, with the Indians, it's really one thing. If you really want to get down to it, I don't even think it's the outfield. And we need to bring Mandy Bell on. I think it's all about Jose Ramirez. Are we going to get Jose Ramirez from 17 and 18 and 16? Or we're going to get Jose Ramirez that was for the majority of the year in 19 where he struggled. Played well in August and played really well in September, but really didn't bring anything first few months of the year.
Again, I think with the pressure off and lowered expectations nationally with this team, I think that plays into his hand too. I really do.
Because I'll be honest with you folks, if you get Jose Ramirez, what we did in 16, 17, 18, Indians lineup's fine. They're fine.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't think the Indians will have any struggle. Now, if Jose Ramirez struggles again like he did out of the box last year, I think it's going to be more dips and dives. I don't think the outfield's as much of an issue as people think. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't think it is. The Indians' outfield is not as strong as other contenders. There's no question. But again, if Santana keeps up what he did last year, you're going to have the name escapes me, the guy we got from the Phillies, who again, not a big name, but he's in the upper tier for second baseman in numbers. You got Lindor. We all know what Lindor can do. If Ramirez can bring the pop he had in 16, 17, 18, that lineup's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. If Ramirez, though, has the start he did in 19, you and I are going to be doing the same podcast we did last year. I think we're going to talk about checkerboard starts. We're going to be switching lineups and moving people in and out and stuff like that. And by the way, we have not mentioned at all, Jordan Luplow, after the All-Star break, really started to figure it out and really became a big asset against left-handers.
Oh, you're talking about Cesar Hernandez, by the way.
Hernandez, right.
Second
and Hernandez is a good everyday second baseman, right?
Yeah.
So you got some more fortification there in the lineup. And Reyes, we saw what he do when he can settle down. I think Reyes is a great DH. I know they're going to try to put him in the outfield. I think Reyes is built for the DH. So all that to be said, I think the Indians have... I just think another year, Jared, and the Indians are there. I want to see what Daniel Johnson can do. And I really, really want to see if Jose Ramirez can return to what we saw in 16, 17, 18.
We need him.
I think he's the guy. I don't think it's the outfield. I think he's the guy. And I think Domingo Santana's a great ad. I think
he's absolutely a tone setter.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Real quickly before we wrap it up, Kipnis was signed to the Cubs to a minor league deal. For people who don't know, he is from Chicago. He's from that area. I don't know if he's from Chicago, but he grew up as a Cubs fan. So this should not be a surprise to anyone. I love Kipnis more than other people do. I thought Kipnis was a great Indian.
Yeah.
He had a wonderful World Series. He had big home runs and big spots in Game 4. Had big hits throughout the playoffs at times. Was a good player for the Indians. Was a very good player for the Indians. And you know what? I think it's good for him. He's playing for his hometown team that he grew up cheering for. I have no problem. I know it's the Cubs. We hate the Cubs. Blah. All that to be said, I'm happy for Kipnis, and I really enjoyed his time in Cleveland.
I don't know why I still had my mic muted.
Dramatic pause, they call it.
Here's the thing. Kipnis was fun to watch. It fell off hard. It fell off fast. Best of luck. I don't have anything else. And the reason that my phone was, or that my microphone was muted, by the way, Andy, and this is how we do live Facebook stuff. My mother, who literally just commented on something on my Facebook page, or tagged me on something on Facebook, for some reason thought she could FaceTime me right now.
Oh,
how does she not know that I'm live on Facebook right now? I don't know. I don't know how she missed that. That's all. That's what that was.
Your mom loves you.
Nice
That's
distraction. She does, and she is extremely excited that we are moving home.
See, that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Yes.
So anyway, speaking of that, glad that Kipnis is going home to Chicago. All right.
Yeah.
Here's my quick thoughts on the Super Bowl. It's been 2 weeks now. The Niners choked it away. Jimmy G wasn't good in big spots.
Yep.
But more importantly, Kyle Shanahan's now had two collapses. One's offensive coordinator for the Falcons. The second now as a head coach for the Niners with a 10-point plus lead in the Super Bowl in the fourth quarter, losing.
Granted, is it fair? I mean, a 10-point lead in, like, I don't care, in any game against the Chiefs, we learned doesn't matter. It's the
Ready?
Chiefs.
Jared, would you be pissed off if the Browns lost that game?
I'd be pissed and I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. Let me restate that. Would you be? I would be John Elway drive pissed.
Oh yeah. Oh
Pissed.
yeah.
Pissed.
Oh yeah.
That's a bad that's just Super Bowl loss for the Niners. Bad loss. We'll see if they can recover. That was a bad loss.
That's all right. Ohio's own, Mooney's own, Cardinal Mooney's own Jed York will get it figured out for him.
For people who saw it today, there were two players for the High State football team who were dismissed following rape and kidnapping charges. It was this very, very terrible story. I thought Coach Day handled it very quickly and handled it right. He sent out a press release via an email. I give him kudos for that. He did not mess around with this, and you shouldn't with things like this. If they are true, you gotta move quickly and make quick decisions that are harsh. And they did. And I thought that was the right move by Day to Day. Both have been dismissed. They are no longer on the team. I thought that's the right thing to do. People can read the story. It is a horrific story, and it's bad. And those two guys should no longer be a part of the team, and they're not. And that's good. That's good. Finally, we never thought this would come about 10 years ago. Browns and Bengals fandom does not meet the condition requirements to purchase medical marijuana. It came out today that some Browns and Bengals fans said, hey, we need to smoke it up after, have you been us?
I remember that being brought up. I love that it was taken seriously enough that there was actually a follow-up answer to it all.
Yes.
Andy, I responded on Twitter with, I'm not asking for permission anyway. Thank you.
Well said.
Sorry, that's me.
Well said.
I don't need permission. Thank you.
I will sit and drink my wine all day long.
That's
fine. I think we learned a lot here today. We learned that we learned that I can't believe I've actually come around to Andrew Berry and all this stuff that might be.
I don't know that I'm ready for that, but okay.
I was surprised. I really enjoyed Andrew Berry. I thought he was so likable. I really think he's a nice man. I really, really found him. I was shocked. I don't always get this with the Browns, but I really liked him a lot. So I thought that was good. I thought that all that stuff went good. I'm glad the Myles Garrett thing's finally over. I think that's relieving.
Yes.
We talked enough about that woman who supposedly did some things at Baker Mayfield, so we can people listen back to that and
Cheesecake
make
Factory.
what they want. Cheesecake Factory, correct? I think the Cavs, again, I think we need to give this a chance at Beeline and Drummond. We'll see what it can go on. I'm glad Colin Sexton made the Future Stars game. Again, I think people have been way too hard on him. He's not an elite player, but it doesn't mean he's crappy. I think there's been way too harsh on people with him. And then finally, we're still excited about the Tribe. I'm glad Kim just got to go home to Chicago. And yes, Kyle Shanahan needs to start winning these games in big spots in the Super Bowl. You don't want to be known as a coach who chokes away leads in the fourth quarter.
Well, you can always be the Bills.
Ooh. Oof.
So there's
Oof.
that.
There is that.
Nothing's that bad.
We will do part 1 of the season review of the Browns on Sunday. Please tune into that. And, it is Cleveland, so you never know. But, gosh, we would think in the next 4 days there wouldn't be a lot of news. The Cavs are off through the All-Star break. The NBA All-Star break's coming up now. Quick thoughts on college basketball, and I am done, Jared. Purdue had a terrible loss to Penn State, but they did a nice job. I thought the Bobby Knight thing was interesting in Bloomington. He came back for the first time in 20 years, made an appearance at court. It was a very, very big ceremony. It was a big deal. I'm a Purdue fan, so I'm obviously a little bit more jaded to this than other people are. But that was a big talked about thing in sports. And to see Bobby Knight back in Bloomington and on Assembly Hall was interesting. It was a moment for sure.
Bobby Knight's a dick, so I'll leave it at that. That's where I stand.
I am not a fan of Bobby Knight at all.
Yep,
but again, I'm a Purdue fan, so I want people to keep that in mind.
I had a baseball coach in college who acted like Bobby Knight, and he was a dick too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, not a fan of Bobby Knight at all.
No.
Boiler up. By the way, for Hoosier fans listening out there, 4 fucking years. 4 fucking years you haven't beat us. I love that. I love when Purdue beats the shit out of Indiana. Big game this week for Jared and I. Purdue plays Ohio State. That's actually might be a game for Purdue where they need to win because they're really squaring the bubble. The bigger story in Ohio basketball is Dayton. The Flyers are really playing well. They're a 2 seed. They're going to have the number 1 draft pick overall. God, I hope he's a Cav. Obi's a great player. I think he's a talented guy. He'd be great in a Cavs uniform. The other big story, again, is still, for people who don't watch, I watch a lot of it. Big Ten basketball is so good right now. It is the best the conference has ever been. I've watched college basketball a long time. The Big Ten, up and down, is good. Penn State's excellent. Illinois got blown out by Michigan State, and they're very good. Anybody can beat anybody on any night. I think the Big Ten, outside Nebraska and Northwestern, you got to take every game seriously. It's very entertaining basketball. I know no one's talking about it, and no one mostly gives a shit. But yes, I think it's worth it. If you want a Netflix break, watch Big Ten basketball. It is so good this year. Really, really good.
Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond. On Twitter, @CLE and Beyond. Shoot us an email, Andy and Jared, JARID, @gmail.com. Also, check out the website, andyandjared.com or clevelandandbeyond.net. Follow the podcast, subscribe anywhere you can find a podcast. YouTube, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, it is on YouTube, so go to YouTube, search Cleveland and Beyond.
All 3 of you.
You'll find us there. Yeah, nobody's going to YouTube because it's audio with no video. It's strange. Whatever.
No, you should check it out. It's great.
Well, it's another outlet. I don't know. We haven't figured out what we're going to do with that.
If you love a good graphic, check it out.
Yeah. Also, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, all of it. Leave us a review. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. Tell us you love us. Tell us you hate us. We don't care. Either way, just listen to us. Also, you can listen on your Echo, your Alexa device. All you got to do is say, play Andy and Jared Cleveland Beyond on TuneIn Radio, maybe. I don't know. Check it out. Figure it out. We are brought to you by Waiting for Next Year. Original Cleveland sports reporting at waitingfornextyear.com. I'm ready to go back to Ohio, Andy.
I am ready to eat some dinner.
I'm ready to go to bed.
Yeah, I've had the strangest work week, which I will. Anybody ever wants? I'm going to do a diary about November, December, January, and February of my life in the last 4 months.
He's Andy.
And someone
Billman.
told me at dinner you should do a whole reenactment. Maybe I will on this podcast someday.
Listen, we'll write it in screenplay. We'll shoot it, and
I want Paul D. Podesta shirts.
Welcome back, Myles. Pittsburgh started it. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. Andy and Jared, Cleveland and Beyond. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Talk again soon.
Love you, Beeline.
Slugs.